All right, OLR exclusive fans, we are on with Catherine Bruhier. How are you today?
I am excellent. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, thank you very much for coming on. It's such an honor for me.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so I know you're a very busy woman, as I've seen, doing some extra research for this interview. So I'm going to get right
Uh
into
oh.
it. So how and when did you get your start in the entertainment business as for your acting and your writing and everything?
um, well, my first, I guess, professional production was through Theatre New Brunswick in Canada, where I grew up. But ironically, I was living in Toronto, going to school, and that was just happened to be an audition that my first audition that I got that was actually paying was for children's theater in New Brunswick. So I did a couple plays for them, and then from that they auditioned me for the main stage, and that's what got me my equity card. The play Saltwater Moon by Dave French that I did with Eric McCormick from Will and Grace fame. So that was sort of my breakout into the business, and then after that I ventured into television and film.
Nice. I had a couple questions about that, like which you've already answered about how you got into doing the saltwater moon production. I also saw that you wrote an article called Darkness Visible that was published in September 1990 issue of Theatrum magazine, and then it was
Yeah.
republished as an inspirational piece for a school textbook called Playmaking Magazine. How did it feel to have your article published?
Oh my goodness, that was such a journey. It felt amazing, first of all, and unreal. That came about because the years before Saltwater Moon, I think it was a few years before, a year before, there was a symposium in Ontario, Canada, about getting more diverse casting on stage. And so Saltwater Moon happened because of Sharon Pollock, who was the artistic director of Theatre New Brunswick at the time. She's a playwright. She's written a number of things, award-winning plays, and she was the artistic director and directed Saltwater Moon. And her vision was like, if there were black people in 1926, why couldn't Mary Snow be black? And so she decided to cast it that way based on seeing my work in the theater, the Young People's Theater Company, the Young Company at Theatre New Brunswick. So um, I can't remember if I ran into or contacted the editor of Theatrum magazine at the time. Can't remember how we met, but I remember telling him, I know this symposium happened and it was in your magazine, and this play happened with untraditional casting, and it might be something positive to sort of say, look, it's starting to happen. And he's like, well, why don't you write an article about it? And I was like, oh, no, I don't want to write an article. I was just thinking maybe you guys should write an article and mention it because it was a good thing. He's like, no, you should write it. I'm not a writer. So he's like, why don't you put it on paper and we'll meet a couple of times and I will, tweak it a little bit. And so that's how that came about. So I just sort of poured out all my feelings about it, and I guess it was successful. And from there, it went on to, I remember my agent calling me saying, they want your approval to sort of republish this, and this is what will happen. And so that's kind of how that came about. But it was a big thing for me, and I was really proud of it. And it meant a lot to be able to sort of, be a role model in that regard for sure.
Oh yeah, like just to have that, like you said, that kind of accomplishment under your belt that someone's coming to you and saying, you did such a good job. We want you to write an article based on that. Like that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it was an interesting thing because, growing up as a visible minority in New Brunswick, Canada, it was like one of, like maybe the one token person of color in each class I was in, maybe another one, maybe, you know. So when I wanted to become an actress, I didn't realize that, oh, there's going to be things that I can't do because of the color of my skin. I just was not in that mindset growing up there. So it was a big thing for me to be able to sort of express those feelings in the article, you know.
That's
And that it could then, you know, down the road be one of those performances that sort of led the way, and now it's definitely a lot better than it was then, for sure.
oh yeah, it's still I've noticed it's still kind of not as big like you said, not as big of an issue, but I've noticed it does still happen where because
Oh,
of
absolutely.
your certain minority
Absolutely.
it happens.
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
And as you've said, like you've performed in many theaters across Canada. What has been your most memorable theater to perform in?
Oh, wow. I would have to say Riot. Well, Shaw Festival for one, for sure, because that was such an honor, and that was huge. And I sort of like took over for an actress that wasn't able to do the performance. Um, so that was huge. And then definitely Riot, the play by Andrew Moody that was performed at Factory Theater, and it was sort of it was based on how Toronto reacted to the whole LA riots and the Rodney King beating, and but it was written in such a witty way. There was humor. I mean, it's not a funny subject, but it was a bunch of roommates that all lived together. We were all you know, either Caribbean or Jamaican or Nova Scotian Black, or we were all like from different walks of life, but we were, you know, under the roof of being, you know, African, Canadian, or whatever you want to call it, Black. And so it was sort of our lives of what we were doing. I was a student writing a paper. You know, another person was like involved in some not so great stuff in the neighborhood. Another person was, gosh, I can't remember now. But somebody called, I think it was written up to be a Black friend, but not as frivolous. And there was like political stuff. It was very witty, and the city just like there was so much publicity on it. We were interviewed on every news channel. All the papers wrote about it. It was huge. And then it got remounted again to the World Stage Festival. It was just an honor to be having those conversations about, you know, how Toronto reacted to that, and how, you know, a lot of people wanted to sort of lump us into this monolithic society, but African Canadians are from all walks of life as opposed to African Americans. Has been through, you know, a similar path for generations. African Canadians are kind of different. So it was a real wonderful journey. It was a lot of fun, and we laughed a lot. So that was definitely, I think, a highlight for me in my stage career.
Nice. That's an awesome story. So the next question, I did not realize, like I had watched this show when I was younger, but I did not realize that it was you. So you hosted 2 seasons of Polka Dot Door. How did you land that role,
My
and what
gosh.
was it like on that show?
What was the first question? How did I what? How did I land the role?
How did you land that role?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. You know, I had met an actress, Miss Bellini. I can't remember how I met her. Oh, we were doing a play reading together during the cast, right. And she was working on Polka Dot Door, and I remember saying, gosh, that sounds like a really fun show to work on. I was about to work on that, and I think it was her that told me to write to the producers, which I did, but they never got back to me. And I also mentioned it to my agent, so I don't know if it was my letter or just my agent sort of gave me an audition, if it was a combination of both. But I just, you know, auditioned for it, and I ended up getting it the same summer that I was doing the shop festival. So I had to get an okay from both of them that I can come back and forth to, you know, around the dates and, you know, rehearsals for the shop festival to do it at the same time. But yeah, so that was a funny and interesting adventure. And it was fun because I had some young nieces that watched the show that would always like make me promise to do the arts and crafts that were on the show. And of course, they showed you do part of it and then you pull up the next part and it's already done. So I didn't really know how to do the whole thing. I just sort of read the script and camera and stuff. But yeah, so that was a wonderful, a fun experience for sure. So did
I
you watch that? Like you said?
I did, and my husband also. He said that he watched it when he was younger too, and when I saw it on like your Wikipedia, I was like, what? So I went through
Oh my
YouTube
god!
and I was like, oh my goodness, I do remember that.
Did you find some episodes of me on YouTube?
There was like a small little clip that I had to pause
Oh
it,
my
and I'm like,
god! So
that is
funny.
her.
That show had been on for so many years. Like I don't even know how many years it's been on, but way before I became an adult, that's for sure. I was quite young when I did it. That's funny.
Oh, yeah, like I remember watching that when I was obviously when I was a lot younger, but
Mm-hmm.
um so moving ahead a couple years, for 3 seasons you played Elaine Bespris on the hit Canadian television show Due South. How did you land that role, and what was it like being on that set?
Wow. That role was just out of the blue an audition that I went on, and I remember I was working at a for a temp agency. I was like on a job. I think it was only like a couple days filling in for reception at some law firm that had a really long name. That every time the phone rang, I would like sweat before I answered it to make sure that I said it right. And I remember running out on you get so much time for lunch, having my boyfriend at the time meet me with his car and drive me, and like changing in the car. It was sort of like one of those things. It was like, okay, just what I did, I didn't think about it, and then found out that I was being considered and had to sort of negotiate a contract while I was at this temp job to the point where, like with my agent, they're saying, okay, this season you have to go through this whole deal and figure out what you want and don't want. To the point where I called the temp agency and I was like, is there any way you can replace me for the afternoon because I can't do this right now. So that was a wonderful thing that happened and a great group of people to work with. George Bloomfield, Paul Haggis, Stephanie Levin, Paul Groves. They were Malcolm Cross, like they, all of them sort of like took me under their wings and sort of nurtured me. And David Marciano, he was a great mentor. That was sort of like my first ongoing, big venture into not being on stage but in front of the camera. So I learned a lot on that show, and it was a lot of fun. Met a lot of really wonderful people. Some of which I still keep in contact with.
Yeah, we had last Sunday I interviewed David Marciano, and
Oh, just you? That's right. Okay. I
yeah,
think I think you told me that when you reached out to me.
he gave us an exclusive. Apparently, I don't know if you or the rest of the cast had heard, but I guess he told us that him and Paul are trying to get a reboot going.
Oh,
I guess it's still in
interesting.
talks, so I'm not
Uh-huh.
sure if hopefully I've always, when the show ended, I was like, I would like to know what happened, to end that story, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
if he's going, if they're planning on going down the same kind of story or if they're going to start, fresh. I'm not sure.
Well, there's so many reboots now. I think it would be a great time to do it. I actually thought about that not that long ago. I was like, somebody needs to do a reboot on Due South. That would be interesting.
Oh,
I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea.
I told him that hopefully he would, kind of maybe call us back and give us another interview once everything's, finalized so we can get the scoop. So hopefully.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I see David every once in a while. I run into him. I
Oh,
haven't seen him for a bit.
yeah, he was
Yeah.
super nice on the phone.
Oh, he's a wonderful guy.
So, and then so you also, I'm gonna start move to your like your writing and your directing stage. You also wrote, directed, and starred in a short called The Sacrifice. What was the inspiration behind that short?
Gosh, that was a strange situation. I, I'm sure you've been to Toronto, right? Have you been to Toronto?
I've been to Toronto just a couple times because we're about 4 hours
Uh,
from there.
okay. In Yorkville, every like over the summer, every once in a while there'll be like a woman with a table where she tells your fortune. And I remember walking by one time and like, no, 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 no. They did come, no, 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 no. Okay, come. So finally I went and she told me what she told me just struck a chord with me. She said that there was, two people in my life that were causing this negative effect, and that if I wanted to fix that, I needed to come back and burn these candles and pay such and such. Which I felt like, okay, this is so bogus. Obviously, she wants more money for me. But then I sort of like started thinking, what would I do if she said something else? So the sacrifice is sort of based on what would you do if someone told you something awful was going to happen to you or a loved one? First of all, would you believe it? And if not, what would it take to make you believe it? And even if you weren't sure, to what length would you go to prevent it from happening, or what cost, or what sacrifice? So that's what that was based on. I have never been one to go to fortune tellers, and I grew up very religious, so, from everything I heard, they're in cahoots with the devil. I don't necessarily believe that anymore, but that's what was ingrained into my head. So going to this, fortune teller was like very scary, so it sort of stuck with me and haunted me, and so that's where that script came from. And at some point, I'd like to sort of tell a longer story about it too, because I think there's definitely more in there. But that's what that was based on, the sacrifice.
That would be definitely an interesting story. Like,
Yeah, it's about a woman who fell in love with this person and was told that something's going to happen to him, to her first husband, and so she goes about doing other things to make sure that this person isn't her first husband, only to find out. Well, I don't want to ruin it, but anyway, to find out that these things might have happened either way. So, and it's also sort of inspired by, I don't know if you ever read the book, Paulo Coelho's book, The Alchemist.
okay, I've heard of it.
In the beginning of that book, it talks about the dangers of knowing your future and how you might manifest that because you think that's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Um, so in 2004, you won two awards. Well, an award and a certificate for that for that short. One was a Bonehead Award for Best Actress, and then a Bonehead Certificate for Best Drama Short for The Sacrifice. How does it feel to have won those awards?
I was really proud, from the fact of the horrible name of the award. That award, it sounds so funny, but the actual award, because it's from Muskoka, Oklahoma. It's actually two horns that's on this huge piece of wood. It's kind of interesting. It literally looks like a bone head of a carcass. But anyway,
Oh
I was surprised actually. It was the sort of first film festival that I'd ever been to with the short, and I went to it. I didn't really know which ones you should apply to and which ones you shouldn't, and I just applied to a bunch, and that was sort of the first one that was coming up and got back to me, and I was honored.
oh, cool. Sometimes that's the best thing is just when you have your work, just apply it to everyone and see who comes back to you.
Yeah, I guess.
So you were one of 8 directors in Canada to attend the 2010 Women in the Directors Chair at the Banff Arts Centre. Can you tell us a bit about that experience?
Oh my gosh, that was unreal. First of all, I knew I needed more experience as a director. I had been applying for different grants in Ontario and not getting them. Um, and when I applied to them in the director's chair, when I got down to the final 10, they let you know that you're in, you're one of 10, and then they narrow it down to 8 out of all the people that applied. I was really waiting for them to call back and say, "Oh my gosh, we made a mistake." But that was unreal. Every day I would wake up and pinch myself and couldn't believe that I was there. So beautiful at the Banff Arts Center. And it's such a great creative space to write, and they've got so many wonderful facilities, their library. And I learned so much by just being surrounded by all those creative people and getting to film and write and have your writings edited and basically shoot. They have 2 soundstage studios there, and they bring in union actors and crew to work on an excerpt from feature, whatever your short story or whatever it is that you want. We had to basically submit a script in the application process to begin with. So I submitted an excerpt from the feature that I had been writing, and that's what I shot with some great actors and DC and stuff. It was a wonderful experience. And even now, still, of your lifetime alumni after that, and you're always able to apply for different grants and fellowships and stuff through them. So it's a wonderful experience. I would highly recommend it to anyone.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on all of that.
Thank you.
Another one that you also wrote, directed, and starred, I believe it was on your Instagram, I saw about this one, was about your short called Clean Teeth Wednesdays. What was the inspiration behind that, and what was it like working with the children on set?
Clean Teeth Wednesdays was a seriously amazing, fun project, and crazy too. It was inspired by the short story my younger sister Emily wrote when she was about maybe 15. It's about first grade students who once a month do this fluoride treatment where they get these little cups and they have to swish, and how much she hated it. And I always loved reading the story and visualizing. I always visualized the kids swishing and how much they hated it, and the dental hygienist. And my sister goes on in her explanations into great detail. So I was trying to get a lot of that in the film, but so that was my first film after coming out of Women in the Director's Chair that I finally got a grant. I got a $10,000 grant from the government to direct, and I had been turned down to the Ontario Arts Council. I think that was my 3rd time, and I think the envelope came, and I was like to my husband, "Don't even open it. I'm sure it's a no." And I was pregnant at the time, so I just remember thinking, okay, I've got to make this movie before I have this baby, because my focus is not going to be, it's going to be divided. So I shot that film at 8 months pregnant in the heat of July, and the school that we were shooting it in, we were doing everything as low budget as possible, and we didn't have any air conditioning. But when we arrived at the school we had, rented at their location, they had a flood. Some kids had turned the sprinkler around the night before, and the hallways were flooded. So our crew helped them clean it up and sandbag it and everything. And as a result, they gave us air conditioning, which I was very happy about. But of course, you have to turn it off in the room that you're shooting because it's so loud. So it was a hot, crazy shoot with all these kids. And I remember the lead actress, Allison. Her mom was a nurse, and she was really awesome to me. She was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine, I'm fine." And at the times that I might have gotten a little overwhelmed or frustrated. And I remember talking to her at lunch one time and saying, I feel like I was really hard on your daughter. And she was like, no, no, no. She takes karate. She's really good at focus, and she's really good with, direction. She'll be fine. Don't worry. She's tough. So a lot of things came out of that. But anyway, that's where that came from. But as a result, I mentioned this thing about Allison because my daughter now, because of her, takes karate. And that's where she is right now, actually. And she is 2 belts away from her black belt, and she's 8. So it kind of came full circle because I remember thinking, wow, that's so cool that a little girl is taking karate and she's so focused because of it. And I thought to myself, when this little girl comes out of me, I'm going to make sure she takes karate. So kind of came full circle.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like talking about the fluoride and the swishing. I remember when we were in public school and having to do that, and I hated the taste of the fluoride. The worst
Yeah.
experience.
So that's good. Have you seen the film?
I did.
I
I
don't
watched it.
feel good. Oh, you did? Were you able to watch it?
I was, yeah. I saw it. I actually found your YouTube channel, and I saw it on there.
Oh, okay. Did you see the trailer or the full film?
I think it was just the trailer.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it was fun to do. The kids were great. Great and crazy making, but it was a really fun process. We just ran out of time. Like we just had that one day at that location to get so much footage. There was so much more I would have liked to have shot, but it all worked out together in the editing room. So.
Sometimes things just come together in the end.
Yep, you just never know what you're going to end up with. I think that's what I love the most about being a filmmaker is the editing process. Like you can tell such a wonderful story. For me, it's like painting a picture, and that's my other love. A lot of people don't know that about me, but I also paint, and one of the first things I wanted to be was an artist. But I just felt like I had to be in the mood to do it, so I didn't think it could be something I could pursue ongoing. But as I'm getting older, I find that I'm painting more and more. But for me, filmmaking is kind of like painting a picture, and you get to pick the colors, especially in the editing room. It's in the tail end of it, bringing it all together. That's my favorite part about it, for sure.
That's true. It's just a different form of painting.
Yeah, exactly.
So, skipping
That's
ahead.
what the messages you can convey too,
That's true. Oh, yeah. So in 2013, you were in the film The Best Man Holiday as Dr. Perkins. How did you land that role, and what was it like being on the set?
Wow. Well, that just was a random audition that my agent at the time got me. Got a call back for it, and then found out that I was pinned, and then found out that I got it. That was a wonderful experience, and that was sort of another sort of landmark production. That was sort of one of the first African American Black films, whatever you want to say, that was a box office hit, and has changed, a lot of studios and what they're bringing to the table now. There's so many more Black films now that are. But that was a fun experience. My scene was with Kay Diggs and Sanaa Langston, and they were both wonderful to work with. The director was fun. It was just a great experience. Wonderful experience. We had like a cast read through, so I got to meet everyone else. And then at the premiere in Hollywood and the after party, I got to meet everybody else that might not have been there for the read through. It was a good experience. It was really nice.
That's awesome. I haven't watched it yet, but I saw it's on Netflix, so I'm gonna try and talk my husband into watching it. He's not really.
Oh, it's a good friend of mine. It's the holidays. Yeah, funny movies. Funny movies also pulls your heartstrings a bit too. I think you guys will enjoy it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I don't have. I mean, it's a sequel to the first one, but you can still watch it out of sequence for sure.
Okay. Sounds awesome. Yeah, that'd probably be the movie I'll be watching after the interview. Um, and you were also a guest star on the FX series Baskets. How did you land that role, and what was it like working with Louie and Zach?
No, sure. I wasn't technically a guest star. I was a co-star, but it sounds lovely. Um, that also was just a random audition. I can remember having to bring my daughter with me because of the timing of it, and she said she was my good best friend. Louis was amazing to work with, very sweet, very funny, loved working with that director too. He was very open to just like, there was a dialogue written for one of my scenes, and he was like, if you want to throw something out there, go for it. So it was just like a little, and Louis improvises a lot too, so it was great to be able to just react to whatever he was giving us. That was awesome, and the kids that I worked with, and it's so funny because the character's name was Young Mom. And usually, if I have a character on a movie or a series where it's like, doctor, lawyer, often they'll give you a name or you'll say, oh, can I have a name? This time I was like, I kind of like this one. This time it's Young Mom. I'll just leave that alone. So, yeah, no, it was good.
I saw a picture. I think it was on your Instagram or your Facebook. I can't remember which one exactly. But you were on Young and the Restless.
Yeah, I was on that for a couple episodes. It played, what's my character's name now? Dr. Powell. Yeah, that was fun. I mean, some of us shoot really fast. Like, I think we did 2 episodes in one day. Or part of one episode, and I can't remember, but I did a couple of, I did 3 episodes total.
Okay.
And everybody was really nice. It's been really lucky to have some amazing experiences. I don't think I really have had more than maybe one negative experience working with people like that. But yeah, Young and the Restless was awesome. They were great to me.
Yeah, my mom was a huge soap opera fan, so I grew up watching those, and we got to meet. There was a few years where a couple of them had come through Brockville, actually, and we got to meet them. So they're pretty cool people.
Oh, cool. I do remember, like, when I was little with my older sister watching General Hospital with Luke and Laura.
Yeah.
So the big thing for me when I was working on the Restless. Wait, is that Anna the Restless? Oh, no, sorry, that was another film. Sorry. That was when I worked on Port Charles. I remember going to the cafeteria and seeing the actor that plays Luke, whose name is slipping me right now. And that was like, oh my gosh, it's Luke. It's kind of funny. That was a long time ago.
So I just have one more question for you. What's
Sure.
what's next for you? Do you have any new projects coming up that we could keep an eye out for?
Well, I have been working on an animation that I'm not the main writer on it, but it's my idea. So I brought on a writer and a producer, and there's an animation company that's interested in it. So I've been working on that, and I've been working on a feature for way too long that I have been writing. So those are sort of my 2 sort of, heart projects that that's sort of things that I've been working on. And as far as acting, nothing that I can really talk about right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, we'll see. But but yeah.
Okay, so we'll just have to, keep an eye out and wait and see what's next.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the time of the interview where we like to give everyone their chance to give any shout outs or thanks. and also your social media handles. That way, anyone that's not following you can follow your journey, and that way we'll be able to hear and find out what those secret projects are about.
Sure. That's horrible. Let me see. My Twitter is at the Bruhier, Bruhier, and my Instagram is at Bruhier underscore. Oh no, that's not mine. Somebody has a fake one of mine out there. I don't even know who put that out there. But that's not me. The one that says Bruhier underscore Catherine is not mine. Sorry, Bruhier underscore Catherine is not mine. So the one that is mine is my own Instagram. Do you know?
I can't remember. I think it's just I
I think
think
it's
it's
just
just
Catherine Bruhier.
I just punched in your name and it came up. So
Yeah, there's another one out there that has like that isn't mine. Oh yeah, mine is just at Catherine Bruhier. It's pretty simple. I should have remembered that. It's my name. Yeah, so that's mine. And so who I would want, what is the other thing? Who I would like to thank?
yeah, any give thanks or your any shout outs you'd like to give?
Definitely a shout out to my husband, Steve Puccini, who's amazing. He's sort of like my partner that I bounce everything off of my lap, and my daughter, Miss Thea. You can Google her. She's mechanical and she was recurring on Ray Donovan for a little bit. And she's my muse for sure. My family. Yeah, it's just God. I'm thankful for a lot. I'm really horrible at these interview things if you haven't realized by now. Yeah, it's been quite the journey, and I couldn't have done it without the support of my family for sure. My wonderful stepdaughter Paige, who's come with me to the last two Due South Band conventions. She's an amazing teacher in Ontario, Canada. Yeah.
I'm hoping to one of these years to be able to make it to one of those conventions.
Uh,
I'm on
yeah,
part of the Facebook group, and it looks like so much fun.
yeah, they're fun. They really are. And, it's always wonderful and so heartwarming to hear how Due South has affected people's lives. Like the stories are really wonderful. It was a very special time making that show for sure.
Well, thank you very much, Catherine. I'm so thankful and honored to be able to speak with you today and to have this opportunity to interview you.
You're welcome, and thank you. I'm very touched that you hunted me down and found me enough.
Well, I honestly I have to thank my husband because he, started OLR exclusive so that myself and our other team member would be able to do these kind of interviews. And he's like, you should reach out to the people of Due South. You never know. And well, four of you said yes. I'm still waiting on the others, so never know.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, and good luck with everything.
Well, thank you, Catherine. And yeah, like I said, thank you very much for this opportunity.
You're welcome. Take care, Victoria.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
You as well, Catherine. Happy holidays to you and your family.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.